Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Are you ready to see the Moon Lambo wood chipper put into use? It's been a while since I've had to use it, but CoinDesk, they continue to exist, so I'm going to make sure I keep the damn thing around because they will continue to publish a bunch of nonsense as the years pass about both Ripple and XRP because reasons. Here's the latest headline full of nonsense, which got slammed by Brad Garlinghouse. I'm going to show you what he had to say in just a second here, but here's the headline from CoinDesk. What does Ripple stablecoin mean for XRP? So you might read that headline and think, wow, maybe this is going to be some sort of insightful piece. Maybe I'm going to learn something from this. If you think that, you are mistaken because this is flaming hot garbage. It is a dumpster fire of an article. That is exactly what this is. It's incredibly biased, and the author has done crap like this before. He's got a clear bias, writing as though it's some sort of, insightful editorial. No, absolutely it is not. And so I read this article initially yesterday, and as I was going through it, like every 1 to 3 sentences, I paused, and I just had to stop there and think about the nonsense I was reading. And then I was just replying quietly in my own head. I basically, as I read the article, had my own little private Moon Lambo video. I wish I could have just somehow magically recorded that and put it on the Webernets. But instead, I'm going to reread it, having not read this since yesterday, and I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the fly. And I'm sure that pretty much all of it's going to come rushing back because, my God, this article really burned my biscuits, son. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, Brad Garlinghouse's response to this article resulted in other crypto articles being written, including this one from you today titled, Ripple CEO Lashes Out at CoinDesk Over Embarrassing Article. Here's one from the Crypto Basic. Ripple CEO hits back at CoinDesk criticism of stablecoin initiative. So it's all over at this point. And some of you undoubtedly have heard about this kerfuffle by now. But take a look at this just to give you another example here, because this piece was written by Daniel Kuhn, who, by the way, is here's his little profile on CoinDesk. He is a deputy managing editor. So there's him right there. And just to show you, I told you, he's written a bunch of crap like this before. Here's an example from June of last year. I just came across it from a quick Google search. This is June 13th, 2023 by Daniel Kuhn. Ripple does not care whether XRP is sufficiently decentralized. There you go. XRP, who cares? Who cares? Let's have it as centralized as possible, right? That's Ripple's position. Except for real-world evidence demonstrates that is not the case. In fact, from the time I came into this point, the XRP ledger has become way more decentralized, largely in part because of Ripple. Ripple took their validators, many of their validators, offline as there were more participants within the XRP ecosystem. As it got bigger and healthier, it became more decentralized. This flies in the face of actual facts, logic, reason, data, all that. And so the headline here again, this is the new one. What does Ripple stablecoin mean for XRP? And as I'm reading through this, just keep recalling to yourself that this right here, this is why we cannot have nice things. Oh, no. Ooh. Before, I want to share with you what Brad Garlinghouse had to say first. Ooh, yeah, I want to do it in this order. So here's what Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, had to say. To put it mildly, it's embarrassing for CoinDesk. It's embarrassing for the industry. But as Artur, who, by the way, Artur is the guy up here, he's the CEO and founder of XP Market. This is who he was responding to because he had his own pushback against this. He says, but as Artur points out, these are the kinds of people, a deputy editor, holding the whole industry back. Childish antics masquerading under what should be a credible brand that leads coverage of the crypto industry. Yeah, should be a credible brand. They're one of the most well-knowns, unfortunately, when it comes to crypto news. But there's a reason we here in the XRP community call CoinDesk FUD Desk, because they FUD everything having to do with XRP. So I wrote to Garlinghouse and said, I just read the CoinDesk article, and it's a flaming dumpster fire of hot garbage. So many inaccuracies and misrepresentations of reality. And I also wrote to CoinDesk when they shared this article, and I wrote, you should be ashamed of this tripe you call journalism. They're not, though. They should be. They're not. And so anyway, The article reads as follows. Ripple has declared the death of XRP. Well, to be fair, to be accurate, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has said the exact opposite when announcing the Silicon Valley crypto mainstay would launch a US dollar peg stablecoin later this year. Folks, there you go. The first sentence, Ripple has declared the death of XRP. Couldn't be further away from the actual truth. Now, of course, this guy doesn't understand XRP, the XRP ecosystem, or how Ripple is positioning XRP as a bridge currency, and why a stablecoin couldn't do the same thing. He doesn't understand that cryptocurrency that is decentralized would be better suited for some use cases than a centralized stablecoin. There are different trust implications. There's counterparty risk with a stablecoin. He doesn't understand any of that. And as far as it pertains to Ripple's specific use case, and I went into great depth yesterday in a video that I published, so I won't go too in depth here, but I ripped to shreds the idea that this stablecoin Ripple will be launching is going to hurt XRP. It's the opposite. It's going to help XRP. And it's also not going to replace XRP as a bridge currency. And these people don't seem to understand, well, they can just use the stablecoin for this. And I mentioned this yesterday in a video. I was like, well, you can use, if you're transferring value to somebody that's already in crypto, you're in crypto, your friend's in crypto, say they're in a different country, you don't need Ripple, you don't need on-demand liquidity, you don't need Ripple payments, you don't need MoneyGram, you don't need any remittance firm. What you can do is send your XRP or a stablecoin or Bitcoin if you want your transaction to be slower and more costly, or ETH, pick your coin, pick your HBAR, whatever. You can take your coin of choice, stablecoin or not, XRP, send it to your friend in another country, and then they just sell it and cash out from their exchange in the other country. You don't even need a remittance firm. So we in crypto got that. But what about the rest of the world? Because we're only 4% of humans, roughly. 4 to 5% of humans have ever owned crypto at any point in time. What about the other 95, 96% of humans? Well, good for them that XRP is being used in the guts of RippleNet. So if an ODL customer has one of their customers, a consumer, a retailer type, just send a transaction, they don't know how the payment flow works. They don't know that XRP is getting used in the background. They don't know why it's cheaper and faster. It just is. They have no idea, but they don't need to know how it works. We don't have to onboard them into crypto. And Ripple is the only company on the planet that is doing this, literally. There is no other company even trying to do this with a stablecoin or anything else. So, because one of the benefits is you don't have to onboard people into crypto, it just works with legacy finance. Why then would Ripple need to create a stablecoin to replace XRP when it literally does the same thing? It makes no sense. That guy doesn't understand it. And a lot of people in the XRP community too forget that, the stablecoins, they're not going to do the same thing XRP is doing even as Ripple applies it, because the point is you don't have to onboard new crypto users. That's one of the points. This guy doesn't understand any of this. I'm sorry, folks. I'm like 2 sentences in and already that's why as I was reading this article yesterday, it took me a while because I had my own little Moon Lambo video in my head, just like yelling at this guy. Oh my God, really steams my vegetables. Anyway, this numbnut continues and he writes, but in the grand scheme of things, XRP's usefulness is dwindling. Sorry, XRP Army, it's my job to speak it how it is. Now, folks, obviously this flies in the face of reason. You can talk about it and use. Now, he's focusing largely on Ripple. If you want to look at that, on-demand liquidity usage obviously has been increasing, but look at actual metrics on the XRP ledger. What has been happening for over a decade? We've been trending up in terms of even developer activity, which is pretty impressive considering there isn't layer 1 smart contract functionality. Obviously, the rest of the world agrees with him that's in the world of crypto because XRP is one of only 3 coins that has always been in the top 10 coins by market cap for its entire existence, with the other 2 being Bitcoin and ETH, but that's it. He doesn't seem to recognize this. He doesn't understand amendments being passed, increasing utility. Automated market makers, is he not aware of this and why automated market makers are useful on other blockchains as well? Is he just going to deny that any of this is useful? Is he going to deny that XRP Ledger has the world's first ever built-in decentralized exchange? Does he like that on other chains? It's just not good here because it's the XRP Ledger? Or because he's a biased little brat, one of these XRP derangement syndrome folks? Maybe that's why? Is that so? I'm sorry. He's saying, "Sorry, XRP Army, it's your job." No, you're not. You're spewing your bias without facts, and you should be embarrassed. Brad Garlinghouse is right. You should be embarrassed. My God. Then he continues, unfortunately, the Ripple stablecoin expected later this year will apparently be backed 1-to-1 by cash equivalents, including US dollar deposits, US government bonds, and other low-risk investments, according to the company's announcement. The idea is reportedly to create a more trustworthy alternative to assets like Tether and Circle's USDC. Indeed, as many others have pointed out, the $150 billion stablecoin market is crowded, but it's also highly lucrative. Gotta pause right there. Like, to be clear, that number, the fact that he's calling it crowded right now, this is going to be hilarious a decade from now when it's like over $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion, who knows what the number is going to be, when the stablecoin market is in the trillions and he's saying it's crowded at 150 billion. That's like saying when Bitcoin was $10, oh man, that's way too high. It was just like $1 the other day. Oh man. That is going to age like a fine milk, you idiot stick. Anyway, dumbass continues. Tether, the first and largest stablecoin that currently dominates the market, is essentially being used as a cash cow to fund Tether CEO Paulo Ardoino's many wild ambitions, from AI to decentralized messaging. It's possible, facing as much as a $2 billion fine from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Ripple is looking for a new, proven revenue source. Garlinghouse is apparently unfazed by the crowded competition, telling CNBC, in the future, the stablecoin market will look different, certainly based on size. Yeah, he's right, and you're wrong. Duh. And why shouldn't Ripple always look for new revenue streams? Shouldn't a business that grows dabble in other stuff? Well, I'll tell you this, as a business owner, I started my own business in 2010. And I've been growing it with one of my brothers the whole time. And I will tell you this, as we've grown, we've had more opportunity to get into new revenue streams. Why shouldn't Ripple do this? Their strategy, it's not in response to a $2 billion potential fine to the U.S. from the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, which, by the way, isn't going to happen. I don't believe that for a moment. It's not because of that. He's just asserting that because he wants to be a little troll on the internet. What's actually going on is Ripple is getting into all sorts of everything crypto. If you ask Brad Garlinghouse, what is Ripple the company? He won't say his answer isn't the same as what it would have been 5 years ago. Back then, it would have been something along the lines of, a fintech company moving money around, blah, 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 that whole thing. No, now he would say something along the lines of, Ripple is a company that helps enterprise entities engage in all things crypto. It'd be something to that effect. He'd word it much more eloquently, of course, but that would be the message. If you're on the enterprise level, then yes, we have solutions for you, which is why they bought Medico in May of last year for $250 million or so. I think it was May of last year anyway. Because they do custody. They're getting into all things crypto. That's the point. Why is evolving and growing and hiring more people? How can you possibly say with a straight face that this is some sort of negative response to potential fines from the SEC case? I can't take this guy seriously. It's XRP derangement syndrome. Anyway, then he continues, unfortunately, in many ways, Ripple's existing business model, selling financial services based around its XRP ledger, as well as on-demand liquidity and RippleNet protocols, is falling short. Although Ripple has seen some success forming partnerships, it seems increasingly clear legitimate financial institutions do not want to take on the volatile currency risks of working with unpegged digital assets. Now, folks, that is not true. Ripple, first of all, has literally hundreds of customers for that segment, what their initial core business anyway. And as far as the ODL side of it, now they're a private company, they don't have to show us everything they're doing, nor would I expect it, and that's perfectly fine. But we've heard from their customers that use ODL, they praise it. Now you'll see there's one coming up here that stopped using it, but wait till you see the reason they stopped using it. It's hilarious. It's not what you think. They didn't. It's not even bad. But as far as them falling short here, that just doesn't make any sense. And this idea of financial institutions not wanting to use a volatile currency, no, this was debunked like, I don't know, 5 years ago probably, 2019 I want to say. The math was done. It's actual math showing that getting in and out of XRP, which settles in 3 to 5 seconds, is way less risky than having using like or going through the traditional financial system to convert from one fiat currency to another. When you're talking about this chain of bilateral bank transactions, the amount of volatility, while a much more narrow bandwidth, barely anything to speak of at all, over a prolonged period of time, it's actually way more substantial than having exposure to XRP for a period of 3 to 5 seconds when it settles. And also, the financial institutions don't even have to hold XRP themselves. They don't. There are ways around that you don't have to. So that's a non-issue anyway. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, which is why I'm shredding this. Oh, I can't wait to put this damn thing in the Moon Lambo wood chipper. It's going to be delightful. Anyway, this piece of trash continues. Over Ripple's decade-plus history, it often seemed better at building community, the XRP army, and being a crypto cause, taking the SEC to court over the crucial question of whether tokens are securities. It's been less successful at building products companies and individuals actually want to use. I just gotta ask here. What has Ripple done to build the community? It's so laughable. People jump into crypto, and if they think that the XRP token makes sense because it's technologically sufficient and can solve problems, there's an actual ecosystem around it, great. That's why I jumped in, and I acknowledge absolutely that, of course, Ripple's a part of it, and they're the most well-known builder on top of the XRP ledger, fine. But so what? The fact that they're building it, what did they do to build community? In fact, I remember, and for those of you that have been around about as long as me, you might recall this, they actually did hire somebody to interface with the community back in, I want to say 2018. I'd have to go back and look that up. And that person was with Ripple for, it was a very short period of time. It might have been like a matter of months. And then that person was gone. That was Ripple's attempt to engage and grow what they're calling here the XRP army. That was it. After that, they gave up. That was it. And I don't even care if they do, if they were to do that and persist. In fact, I don't know if they hired somebody. They were trying to hire somebody recently. I know that, for a similar role. That's fine. I have no problem. I would encourage them if they want to be a part of the XRP ecosystem and help to grow it, great. But they haven't been. They've been too busy building stuff. What a bunch of garbage this is. Piece continues. Nobody is using XRP itself as the method of payment, just like nobody is really using Bitcoin much for that, Columbia business professor and former Paxos stablecoin fund manager Austin Campbell said in a direct message. Now, folks, that is literally not true. All I'd have to do to prove to the contrary is point him in the direction of some of Ripple's ODL customers. Well, it's now known as Ripple Payments, but utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, and we don't know all of them, but we know some of them, and they've spoken publicly about it. So nobody's using XRP. What about Ripple's actual customers using it on a daily basis? What about them? But they're not using it. So this is a lie. It's literally a lie. And it's on their website because reasons. Well, it's because of XRP derangement syndrome, let's be real. Piece continues. Of course, that isn't totally true. Diameter Pay CEO David Lighton said he partnered with Ripple on an early pilot experiment of XRapid, rebranded as Ripple ODL, to send remittances between the US and the Philippines. While he no longer uses that particular service, he does use the RippleNet messaging platform for some cross-bank transactions, which doesn't rely on XRP. Ripple has sort of a best-in-class data structure. Most of the banks are kind of behind, Lighton said. It's a good product, but they don't really sell it that much anymore. I think that they're sort of keeping it alive for their legacy clients. It's not entirely clear to me why that is. Okay, so there you go. A customer, former customer, well, they're still using RippleNet for messaging, not using the XRP side of it for settlement, apparently, from what he said here, but he says it's a good product still. Well, why do you stop using that then? Well, they do come back to that. It's barely further in the article, so it's going to be on the screen in a second if it's not already. This is why this is so hilarious. This is the worst example that this editor here, that I use that word loosely, because he's just being a troll. He's more of a troll. This is the worst customer response that he could find, and this customer is saying, yeah, it's a good product. Think about it. It's on your screen right there. This is what the troll from CoinDesk wrote here. You know, he put the quote in there from the customer, the former ODL customer. It's a good product. Isn't that something? And so it's, as far as the rest of what he says, you know, it's not entirely clear to me why that is. Well, yeah, you don't work at Ripple. Why would they be telling you the ins and outs of like how the sausage is made, how stuff is progressing, sales meetings, all that stuff? Why would you know? You're not supposed to know. I'm not supposed to know. I'm not part of Ripple. Piece continues. Lighton said he stopped using ODL when he left the consumer remittance business, but found it also to be a useful product. There we go, one sentence later. There we go. I knew it was coming up real quick. He stopped using on-demand liquidity, not because it didn't work. He's praising it. He said it's a good product. It's a useful product. This is the worst that this troll author could find here. They stopped using XRP as a bridge currency because their business left the consumer remittance business. So of course they don't need it. You know, if you run a hamburger shop and then, you know, and you sell some hot dogs too, if you stop selling hamburgers, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with the hamburger meat. It means you don't need it anymore because you've exited the market. What? Do you see how ridiculous this is? And this is the worst that they got, by the way. This is the worst they could find. My God. So anyway, piece continues. It helped him manage currency risk by providing real-time settlements for small tokenized trades. It's not entirely clear how all of that has been put together because I'm not currently using it. But it's reasonable to say there's some value added because it helps firms reduce their cost of working capital, he said. There we go. So wait a minute. XRP's dead. None of Ripple's customers use it, except for you found a customer that you thought was talking trash, but then they say, oh, it actually helps them. Didn't we just show a few paragraphs up? Nobody is using XRP. There was that part. There was that quote. Well, I don't need to go. I just read it, so I don't need to rehash all. I literally just did it. But obviously, you just saw the part where they're claiming, yeah, nobody's using it. I don't know. The financial side of Ripple's business, it's not going so hot. Well, you just debunked yourself, you idiot. You damn fool. What are you doing here? It's funny, at least. It's obviously funny. So we got that, at least, you know, silver lining. This idiot stick makes for lulz. Oh, what a good time. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you haven't yet gotten some poppycorn, maybe you want to go pause this video, get yourself some popcorn, poppy up some poppycorn, come on back, kick up your feet, wiggle your toesy woesies, get all comfy, and then proceed with the rest of the video, because the rest of it is also going to be a veritable hoot. Where the hell was I even? It's a good time, folks. It's a good time. Yeah, okay, it was right here. However, many of Ripple's higher profile partnerships have fallen through. Santander, one of the largest banks in the EU, put Ripple on ice after the bank realized using XRP wouldn't work for its customers' needs. A storied relationship with MoneyGram ended due to the increasing costs associated with cross-border XRP payments and the need for MoneyGram to form third-party relationships with crypto exchanges in dispersed regions. Okay, I don't remember, admittedly, the part having to do with Santander, and I meant to look that up before recording. I forgot about that. It doesn't matter. There's enough to shred, and this video is going to be long enough as is. Anyway, but as far as MoneyGram, there was an agreed upon departure that otherwise wouldn't have occurred had the SEC not jumped in. This is well publicized to make it out to be anything else. Oh, it's another failed partnership. No, that's not what the hell happened here. The SEC ruined it. And so they mutually agreed to exit. And then MoneyGram went on to do other stuff. I don't know if they're ever coming back at this point. Things have evolved within their company, and they partnered up with Stellar since then. So the SEC did that. Doesn't mean that there's some sort of problem with Ripple or what they're doing with XRP. Make it out to be something else, though. Anyway, piece continues. MoneyGram terminated the deal with Ripple. No, that's not what happened. It was an agreed upon. In fact, MoneyGram, per the terms of the deal, they couldn't have. It was a multi-year contract. They couldn't terminate it. Ripple had to agree. Yeah, it makes sense with the SEC. And it was a friendly handshake. Okay, well, we can revisit this later, perhaps. And that was it. That's literally not true what they said here. So I'll just read it again, though. MoneyGram terminated the deal with Ripple, which invested $30 million in the remittance giant in 2019 to use RippleNet after a class action lawsuit was filed by shareholders alleging MoneyGram could have been aware that XRP could have been deemed a security and thus impact MoneyGram's bottom line. The question of whether XRP is a security won't really be answered until Ripple's 4-year legal battle with the SEC ends after appeals. Folks, another complete inaccuracy. Judge Torres declared that XRP is not a security. I don't even need to explain to you the specifics on that. I know that. I know that you guys know. And Attorney Jeremy Hogan, after this happened, he happily reported that. He's like, honestly, the SEC can't even appeal that because it's dicta. It's not something that, which means it's something that Judge Torres added in. It's not something specifically that Judge Torres is even required to rule on. It just, obviously she saw how horrendous what the SEC has been doing is, and she felt motivated to speak on that specific, which she didn't have to do, but she went out of her way to say, yeah, this thing's not a security. She absolutely did. And further, even the SEC said, yeah, we're not going to seek a appellate review of this. That's how they worded it, meaning they're not going to appeal that particular decision, but they also can't. So of course they said that. But this guy's claiming that XRP doesn't have legal clarity. Oh, okay. So it's not clear. Then could you please tell me, you idiot stick, why Coinbase and every other exchange in the United States relisted XRP, most of them the very same day? I'm sorry, there's not clarity here? What a lying liar. Peace continues. Right now, it's a complicated situation. Judge Annalisa Torres found last year that XRP is not a security by default, specifically when traded on exchanges, but it does represent an investment contract when Ripple sells the token to qualified investors. Folks, to be clear here, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, you guys know this stuff. XRP itself is never a security. It depends on the nature of specific transactions, and you take a look at the Howey test. But he continues and he says, and that's the rub. For years, Ripple has essentially funded itself by selling quarterly tranches of XRP for hundreds of millions of dollars to investors. The SEC alleged that Ripple and two of its executives raised over $1.3 billion from the sale of XRP through unregistered securities offerings, about $770 million of which in institutional sales was found to violate Section 5 of the Securities Act. Can I just pause here to note, he's going through lawsuit stuff. Do you guys remember the name of the article? Let me just read it again. What does Ripple's stablecoin mean for XRP? We're talking about the lawsuit now. This guy just wants to bitch up a storm about anything having to do with Ripple or XRP. Like, that's it. Why are you getting into that has nothing to do with the damn stablecoin. You intellectually dishonest turd. Really grinds my gears, son. Let's get back down to wherever the hell where was I? Where was I? Somebody tell me. Somebody out there listening, raise your hand and tell me where I am. It's on the screen. Yeah, here we go. This is it right here. Okay. Then he continues. It's unlikely, no matter the appeals process, that activity will be able to continue on the same scale. It's hard. That's literally not true. Folks, and I've already talked about this in so many videos, and some executives from Ripple have talked about that, including David Schwartz. There are many ways to skin a cat. There's all sorts of ways to continue the functionality of ODL, and God forbid they actually couldn't do with XRP, which isn't the case for any, and that'd be just for corridors touching the United States anyway. You could use a different cryptocurrency anyway if necessary, but that's not necessary. You know, it's literally not. I don't want to go for that'd be too far, outside the scope of this video to go in that further, but I have gone in depth on that in separate videos. This guy is just making crap up. He's lying to anyone that will read this. That is exactly what is happening here. So he says, again, it's unlikely, no matter what the appeals process, that the activity will be able to continue on the same scale. No, it's going to increase in scale because there's utility here. Anyway, it's hard to get a sense of Ripple's financials as a private company, but in many quarters leading up to the SEC suit, these programmatic sales represented a decent chunk of non-bot XRP trading activity. Yeah, I'll pause to note that Ripple discontinued programmatic sales in 2019 before the SEC even came after them. As it turns out, those sales weren't actually problematic from a legal perspective, but they stopped out of an abundance of caution in 2019. Peace continues. Ripple has claimed in the past that it has had over 200 clients for RippleNet from central banks and financial institutions across over 40 countries, but often beyond the initial announcement that companies will be using XRP for cross-border liquidity, there is very little indication how often Ripple's financial services are actually used. Oftentimes the pilots are just internal and not used for consumer-facing applications. So there's him just making up. So he's already saying this information, it's private held company, we don't know what it is, but I know that a lot of the time it's actually just a pilot and it never ends up going into production version with them. But see, he knows. So we don't know because they're a private company, but even though they're a private company, he knows. Make it make sense. That doesn't make any damn sense. This is stupid. STOLPID, stupid. So beyond that, so yeah, initial announcements, there have been a number of those, haven't there? And that's great. Happy to see it. I'm a fan of Ripple. I'd like to see them continue to find success for sure, of course. But why should they provide regular updates on their customers' behalf? And why should the customers speak about their own internal businesses and what's happening with XRP? Like, once the announcement's out there, what kind of update are you looking for? Why are you expecting regular updates? That doesn't make any damn sense. Anyway, this dumbass continues, and he says, Bank Dhofar, Omar's second largest bank, for instance, announced it would use RippleNet in 2021 and offers customers the option to deposit up to OMR 1,000 to deposit accounts in India instantly through Ripple. But that is the only mention on the bank's website. Many others, including payments apps and remittance services, make no mention of Ripple at all on their corporate sites. Oh, okay, so the one that you cited there, it's on their website because they're using Ripple services, aren't they? But you need to know, you need them to like tweet at you or something? What the hell is your malfunction? And then the rest, why? Understand, when you're talking about, if you're talking specifically about Ripple payments, and you may be thinking of XRP as a bridge currency, these Ripple's customers, I understand some of them will mention it on their website. They don't need to, because it doesn't matter to their customers. They are selling to their customers, the end user. The end user doesn't know anything about the plumbing, and they don't need to. They don't need to know if XRP is being used as a bridge currency for their transactions. What's with this expectation that it would be listed on the damn website? You damn fool. Piece continues. Lighton said he'd consider using ODL again if it was a good enough commercial proposition, and that if he could get comfortable with the regulatory and compliance risks. But when it comes to financial services, there's a lot of up and downstream relationships that do internal risk ratings to figure out whether to work with you that aren't yet comfortable with crypto. So folks, there you go. If there's a regulatory issue, it's not with Ripple or XRP. It's with conservative financial industries not feeling comfortable with crypto, broadly speaking. That's it. That's it. So he acknowledges it there, but look at the rest of the framing of this article. This piece of trash. I mean, I encourage you to print this up on a soft paper and use it as toilet paper. Because then it would actually be useful to someone, right? But look at what he's actually saying here. They're not comfortable with it. That the framing says, no, XRP is trash. Ripple's usage of XRP is trash. Nobody likes it. But then he says that. Piece continues. It's really a tough environment right now to do something cool and sexy, he said. I'm a regulated entity. My top loyalty is to our anti-money laundering obligations. Asked whether he'd be more comfortable using stablecoins or stablecoin-based services, Lighton said he's even more hands-off there, following the Federal Reserve's novel activity supervision program instituted last summer, which dialed up the heat on entities using stablecoins. Now, so, look, and I can't speak to that. I'm not operating in the world of finance. I'm in the world of crypto, sure, and I'm a YouTuber in the world of crypto, super duper. As far as that goes, if anything, assuming that guy's right, though, because as far as I can tell, he's just given his honest perspective on this. If that's the case, like Ripple's stablecoin, it's not like this is some sort of threat to XRP. As I highlighted so many reasons why it's the case, obviously. But he's kind of saying no. So if that's the case, if that's how most are going to perceive this, then it's just another thing to be aware of and consider. Anyway, it continues. There's some brilliant ideas behind stablecoins. The problem is no one is really sure how to regulate them, Lighton said. He mentioned that PayPal is allowed remittances through its PUSD stablecoin on its Western Union-like platform Zoom, which might be an avenue that Ripple goes down. To be fair, Ripple's XRP-based financial tools are largely meant to work in the background. Oh, now he recognizes it, just like I was saying. Largely meant to work in the back. So he wanted it on the website, but now he's like, oh, it's just supposed to be in the background. Then why would it be on the website? What are you doing? And then he says, though many would still likely prefer financial rails built on fiat rather than a free-floating currency. Now, the fact he's saying that shows that he doesn't know what in the ever-loving hell he's talking about. Banks, if they are going to utilize XRP as a bridge currency, they don't even have to hold it. They literally don't have to hold it. It's just used as a bridge. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to settle. The rails that matter to the banks, or pick your remittance firm, they're already in place. and they're KYC and AML compliant. They just are. The bank wouldn't care for a second about 3 to 5 seconds, especially if a market maker is taking on the risk in terms of volatility. And I'm not privy to the nature of the exact nature of how transactions flow exactly, because that's just confidential Ripple information, and fine. But either way, we already know that the financial firms, they don't have to. That's the point. They don't have to own XRP. It doesn't even have to be on the books. So what the hell does it matter? What's he talking about? They'd rather use a rather than a free floating currency. What? If he's basically saying, yeah, they'd rather just, use Swift and never progress at all. Just that 1970s. That's not even, yeah, that's fine. We don't need to progress. There's a solution right here. They don't need it. They don't care about that, right? What? Piece continues. And I think we're at the end here finally. In fact, Ripple's soon-to-be competitor Circle, issuer of the second largest stablecoin, went through a number of corporate re-evaluations, going from a peer-to-peer payments platform to a Bitcoin wallet before it landed on the stablecoin business. Maybe that is the natural crypto life cycle. So there you go. That's the end of the piece of trash. Now think about everything that I just covered, and then go back to the title, which is, what does Ripple's stablecoin mean for XRP? They didn't even answer the question. Not once in the entire article did they say what a stablecoin would mean for XRP. Not once. Not one damn time. This guy just wanted to bitch up a storm, and he picked a random title that had nothing to do with the actual content of the article. You know what we call that? We call that clickbait. When you have a title of something that does not represent the content in whatever it is that you're putting out there, whether it's a blog or it could be a YouTube video, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, if you put a headline up there, you put a title up, and that does not represent the actual content of whatever you're putting out, that is the definition of clickbait. That is what it is. What a piece of trash. And so consider this now placed in the infamous Moon Lambo wood chipper, and let us never, ever, ever speak of it again. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.